Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wasteland. It's all one big, gigantic Litterbox. I'm gonna do just fine here. So, speaking of apocalypses that may involve a lot of sand, I saw Furiosa, a Mad Max story. Which, yes, folks, this is a story about Max the dog from The Grinch. No, Max from Goof Troop. No. Oh, it's a Mad Max sequel. Actually, a prequel. Max technically turns up in most nothing of a cameo possible, but that's fine. This is not his movie. This is about Furiosa, who was the breakout star of Mad Max Fury Road, which was a really good movie about 10 years ago. One of my favorites, honestly, in terms of strip action movies. Real good. Watch if you haven't. It had Charlize Theron as Furiosa, and this is her prequel origin story movie thingamabob. So there's a lot of things running against this movie. You got 10-year time gap between this one and the first one, or most recent between Fury Road anyways. Is like the 5th Mad Max movie, I forget, something like that. Second in this particular chunk, because I guess recasting to Tom Hardy instead of old Mel Gibson, who's gone a bit. We'll call him Bad Max now. Hey, I stole that joke from Red Letter Media. You're welcome. So, Furiosa is a prequel. So it's got that to deal with. Prequels have an instinctual problem of, you know where the characters are going to go, because if something goes awry, the previous movie, the original, can't happen. Or at least you could without going into some major weird territory. And I haven't seen a movie have the balls, the cojones to pull that yet. I'm looking at you, Terminator Salvation. Yeah, everyone would hear a fun one. Go back and look up what the original plan was for Terminator Salvation. That would have been the biggest FU possible, and it was brilliant, and they chickened out. Cowards, all of you in Terminator Land. Cowards! I'm talking about Mad Max, a different apocalypse. But yeah, it's a prequel, again, the Furiosa's backstory. Had a 10-year time gap between sequels. And we had to deal with we're doing recasting on top, because it's been 10 years and Charlize Theron is not going to magically look 10 years younger than she was in the previous movie. You know, you can do that with CGI, and there's a lot of CGI here. They decided to do the more normal thinking thing. Instead of saying billions of dollars on it, just recast. So you got Anna Taylor-Joy, who you see her outside this movie looks like a toothpick. This one, she looks normal. She looks like she looks appropriate for this character, and she does a pretty good job playing the character. It's not a role that you speak very much in. It's very much a intense staring at the camera kind of role. She does good. There's a kid that's playing basically a child version of her for about almost a half the movie nearly, and pretty good child actor too. And they did some weird CGI to make the kid look more like the other actress as it progresses, which was very subtle and worked great. Like, oh, that kid looks a lot like, it's they're CGIing her face to make her look like the other actress. Neat. But yeah, a lot of things going here, and this movie is a recurrence of a different movie's Part 1 and Part 2. Kill Bill. So Kill Bill was released as Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 was all the action, all the bombastic stuff, all the big climax of the physical action parts. Volume 2 was all the talking, all the backstory, and then a ending which was much more two characters talking to each other and a quick climax and we're done. I like Volume 2. It's not one I don't go back to it as much as Volume 1. It's the same story here. This Furiosa is a pretty good movie, but it's not one I'm going to revisit. A couple of reasons. One, I prefer the bombastic, straight-at-you action, non-stoppery of the Fury Road. This one's a bit slower, has a lot more talking going on, which is fine. I like the character development and the character building and the world building. This whole movie has a feel of... Well, actually, it doesn't have a feel. It is George Miller, the director, when he made Fury Road, he had like decades of pre-production trying to get that movie made. And in that time, he made a gigantic new world of characters, ideas, plots, plans, backstories, yada, 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 yada. And this is that taken and turned into a movie. For good and bad. This is all supplementary material. It's good supplementary material, but it's not exactly needed per se, especially not to go into Fury Road. Like, Fury Road worked nicely in the fact that you just could drop right in. The backstory stuff is implied, or you just need the baseline to get going. This Furiosa is nice to have as a movie, to have the additional information and additional material. If you love the world of Mad Max and Fury Road specifically, you're probably going to love this because it's just diving right back in and swimming around and exploring and going, oh, well, hey, here's the bullet farm. Oh, hey, here's a gas town. Oh, hey, we're back at the Citadel. Oh, hey, here's some other areas that we didn't really explore last movie. Now we do. And that's all fine and good. Like, this is not a bad movie at all. It's actually pretty good. It's a different movie from Fury Road, though, so keep that in mind going in. You're going in for a slower paced, just exploration of this world with the main character who doesn't talk that much, and weirdly it shows George Miller, well, not even really, shows George Miller's preference for how he likes his protagonists. He likes his protagonists mostly silent and as passengers in another character's story. So Furiosa, even though this is her movie and she's on the title, this is technically her movie. But this is mostly her dealing with the world around her and other characters. Get a lot more lines, stuff. The main villain of this one is Thor. It's Chris Hemsworth, one of the Chris's. And he's playing the bad guy, and I saw the trailers and I saw he was in this, and I was like, I don't think that's going to work. It doesn't work in the way I expected. It works in the fact that he is playing a bad guy, he's playing a warlord, and he's bad at it. And that's the point. This is a dude who has one particular thing in his favor, charisma. He has a very high charisma roll. Everything else sucks. And it's showing how he tries to do the same thing that Immortan Joe and other characters have done to become wasteland warlords. And seeing that he not great at it. Kind of sucks at it. And that's part of the plot. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. Hemsworth is acting his ass off, and it's goofy. And I didn't quite 100% buy it all the way. Like, I get what they're doing, and it kind of works. Kind of doesn't. It was a casting decision. I don't think it works 100%. It works most of the way. But there's still some residual. I'm expecting him to fly with a hammer all of a sudden, and some goofiness from the last few Thors that have kind of contaminated him as an actor for me. I'm expecting one thing out of him now. It's hard to take him seriously with anything else. He's trying. He honestly does a pretty decent job, it's just that's the situation with him now. So your mileage, cargo, is going to vary with him. As for the rest of the movie, it's basically going from point A to point B to point C to point D in chapters as well. So there's another Kill Bill comparison. There's chapter breaks just like that movie. And just seeing how these things got set up, how these characters were before, and how they got to here and there. It's interesting stuff. It's all good supplementary world building. It's also very long. This is like a 2.5 hour long movie, and there's a lot of explosions and car chases and human cruelty constantly. It's a bit much. It's a bit overwhelming. So near the end of the movie, I was very ready to get out of the theater because I was tired and I'd had my fill. I was overstuffed. This movie is a very overstuffed film. I think this would have been better. It's a tighter, slimmer thing as well. Like, you could have lost some stuff in here, or at least trimmed down. Although the editing stuff they do trim out is kind of funny. There's a war that happens to be a montage that we don't really see because Furiosa was busy building a robot arm in a car. So that's kind of funny. Like, it's all this build up to the thing that happens off camera practically. So that's pretty funny. Also, I will give this thing, the ending is hilarious and honestly puts it up an entire point for me. Like, that ending is some hilarious shit and I enjoyed it. So, good job. But yeah, if you like Mad Max stuff, one, you probably already saw this. Two, if you enjoy Fury Road, this will probably be pretty good for you. It has the feel of like a prequel comic book made into a film, so it's lots of nice backstory that's cool to have, but it's not necessary backstory. A good example would be, remember in Fury Road, the dude who was playing the fire guitar and going on the back of a car? Yeah, there's a comic book giving his backstory, which is as depressing and weird as you expect. But it's not necessary for the dude who is his entire role is to be strapped on the back of a car playing a guitar that's on fire and drumming up the war boys. He's there to be cool and be a neat thing. I don't really need to know his entire background to understand what he is there for and what he is. It's nice to know, it's nice to have, but it's not necessary. Which is kind of my problem with this movie. It has a feel of being not necessary. It's a good time, but it's not really needed either, because all of this is building to the closure of Furiosa's character arc stuff in the existing film. So it has the problems of your average prequel. Which honestly, I don't think any prequel can get around unless it's doing something like so far back that's unrelated to the original. Like, if your prequel set several thousand years involves nobody from the previous films in it, that's fine. But then again, that's almost not even a prequel. That's just a in the same universe movie. So, mileage will vary. I am in the world's biggest Litterbox. I am once again going to make a shit joke about going to find somewhere to take a shit. Subscribe to my Patreon, yada yada. I'm going to post some live action videos very shortly. Go to my Patreon, watch my YouTube, look at my FA, Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. pages, yada yada yada. Look at me make porn, which is my usual thing. Aside from my 9 to 5 and collecting a lot of toys and doing this stuff and putting on my spandex costume and eating food and making a fool of myself for your entertainment. Go away.